The installation of a pond fountain is an excellent approach to take better care of your pond while also increasing the pleasure you get from using it. The image of a fountain is quite pleasing to the eye, and the soothing sound of water falling over rocks may be very restful. However, in order to operate, a fountain pump requires electricity, and power comes at a cost. As a result, a common question asked by people who own ponds is it safe to turn off the fountain overnight? A pond is more than simply an aesthetic addition to a property. It is quite important in maintaining the good health of the pond and safeguarding the animals that dwell there. Purchasing a pond fountain can be done for one of two reasons, either purely for aesthetic reasons or with the intention of employing it as an aeration device. If you are concerned about the quality of the water in the pond and are using the fountain to aerate the water, then turning off the fountain for extended periods of time can lead to stagnation, which is bad for the wildlife in the pond. In most circumstances, it is in your best interest to maintain the fountain operational for the most of the time. Take into account the following facts when determining how long to let your fountain run for. How the pump in a fountain operates. A motor is used to power revolving blades inside of a pond fountain pump. These blades first take in water via a filter before forcing the water down a conduit and into the fountain. A float is used in conjunction with a submersible pump to maintain the discharge nozzle close to the water's surface while the pump is submerged. It is simple to reach while yet being hidden from view since the pump does not go to the bottom of the pond when it is turned on. Because it does not need priming, a pump of this kind is particularly well suited for usage in ponds that are on the smaller side. When selecting a pump, it is important to seek for a size that has the capacity to handle the amount of water contained in your pond in around 2 hours. Reasons to keep a pond fountain going around the clock. The healthiest maintenance routine for your pond is to keep the pump for the fountain running continuously. The continuous movement of water helps to maintain the water's cleanliness and freshness while also providing protection for the plants and wildlife that dwell in and around the water. The pump should be kept running constantly for a number of reasons, the most important of which are listed below. Maintain a high standard of hygiene. However, bigger fish ponds are often too large to benefit from the same kinds of filtration systems that are available for smaller aesthetic ponds. Your pond's cleanliness may be improved with the addition of a fountain, which stimulates the development of beneficial bacteria that consume harmful byproducts like nitrates and ammonia. Maintain a scalable level of algal growth. The constant operation of the fountain has another purpose, which is to control the spread of weeds and algae. The absorption of nitrates is an important function that algae, which is a natural component of the ecology of every pond, performs to everyone's benefit. However, unchecked expansion may be detrimental to the environment. An excessive growth of algae may deplete the oxygen levels in the water, prevent certain portions of the pond from receiving sunlight, and prevent those regions from warming up. If you keep the fountain operating as an aerator around the clock, you may cut down on the excessive amounts of nutrients in the water, which will prevent the growth of unsightly algae. Avoid letting the water stand still. When the water in a pond stops moving, the pond is said to be stagnant. Because it takes in less oxygen from the air above the surface, it changes into an environment that is more conducive to the growth of anaerobic bacteria, which are responsible for the generation of harmful hydrogen sulfide gas. In addition, a pond that does not circulate its water will not be able to emit dangerous gases, since the molecules that make up such gases will have a difficult time rising to the top. Last but not least, a pond that does not move serves as an excellent mosquito breeding habitat. However, their eggs are unable of surviving in water that is constantly moving. Maintain fish in good health. It is particularly crucial to ensure that the pump is operational around the clock if your pond serves as a home for fish. Fish may die from not just a lack of oxygen, but also from the high amounts of ammonia that are found in water that has been sitting still for a long time. Also, when water doesn't circulate, a pond may develop something called stratification, which is when there is a warm, oxygen-rich layer at the top and a cold, oxygen-depleted layer below it. This happens when the water doesn't move around. The layers, however, may get mixed up, and the oxygen levels can become so depleted that the fish can perish if there is a rapid decrease in temperature accompanied by intense precipitation or strong winds. Advice on how to reduce your monthly electric bill. If you are worried about the expense of operating your pond fountain pump continuously, you may want to try some of the following suggestions for cutting down on your energy use. 1. Ensure that you are purchasing a pump of the appropriate size. If the pump is too big, you will be paying for more than you need, and if the pump is too little, it will be subject to an excessive amount of taxation. In order to choose the pump that is most appropriate for your pond, you will need to have a general idea of how much water the pond can store. 2. Opt for a pump that has a low impact on the environment. The operation of pumps used to be more expensive than it is now, but modern types run more effectively and use less electricity than older ones did. If you have a fountain that is getting on in years, upgrading it might end up saving you money in the long run. 3. If you turn off the fountain, continue to run the aerator. The pond water may be circulated more effectively with the aid of an aerator, which also consumes less electricity than a fountain pump. At Living Water Aeration, you may find aerators that are powered by the sun and are completely free to use. When it becomes absolutely essential to turn off the pump, you may keep the water going in your fountain all year round if you live somewhere that has a warm environment. However, if you live in an area that experiences freezing temperatures during the winter, you will need to turn off the fountain to prevent damage caused by the development of ice. When the temperature in the pond drops below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, experts advise turning off the pump and removing it from the water entirely. If your pond is clear of ice for the most of the winter, continuing to keep it in the pond throughout the year should not be a problem. When you pull the pump out of its housing, make sure that it is entirely drained, that it is clean, and that it is stored in a dry location until the spring. A few parting thoughts. Running the pump around the clock is the most effective approach to maintain the health of your pond, even if it may be tempting to save money by turning off the fountain pump in your pond on occasion. When water is drawn into the pump and then pushed out above the surface, oxygen molecules are captured and held in place, which is beneficial to the life in the pond. Keeping a pond moving helps keep it clean, healthy, and attractive. It also ensures that all of the plants and animals that live in and around the pond are well taken care of.